The warning has been on the wall of this station for longer than I have been posted here. It is painted directly onto the composite panel beside the monitoring board, not a placard, not a printout, but painted the way you mark something you mean to stay. Black lettering on gray composite, faded at the edges from the heating cycle's exhaust draft, touched up twice since the original hand laid it down. I have read it so many times I stopped reading it years ago. It became part of the wall. Part of the air. Then Orith Vel crossed the line, and I read it again. I want to be precise about Orith, because the garrison record will strip him to a designation and a date, and that is not enough for what happened here. He and Sen Ark had served together for 11 years. Paired unit scouts, the Vel Karen rotation assigns them in pairs, always has, because the border work requires 2 sets of instruments and 1 shared judgment. In 11 years they had never filed a conflicting report. When Orith logged a reading, Sen confirmed it. When Sen flagged a contact, Orith had already seen it. Command called them the cleanest unit on the outer rotation. They were not boastful about it. They were simply like that, synchronized in a way that goes deeper than training, the way 2 instruments tuned to the same frequency will vibrate when only one of them is struck. I am the duty post records keeper. I track what comes in and what goes out. I track what comes back. 11 years, and they had always come back. The contact that ended it was not dramatic. That is the part one keep returning to. No breach alarm, no unauthorized approach by an unknown vessel, no incident that would justify what followed. There was an object. A small one. Drifting at the outer edge of the Veth Hollow corridor, the dead zone where the charts mark nothing and the standing orders say, observe, log, do not pursue. The object was inert. No propulsion signature. No transmissions. Possibly a debris fragment from one of the vanished survey missions that went into the corridor before the prohibition was formalized. Possibly something else. Orith filed an observation note. Routine. Sen confirmed the reading. Routine. Then Orith filed a request to conduct a close proximity pass, still outside the formal boundary, technically within sanctioned range, but pressing against it in a way that made the duty officer on shift pause before approving. The duty officer approved it. So did I, countersigning as records keeper. We both looked at the boundary line on the chart and told ourselves the pass was outside it. We were not wrong about the geometry. We were wrong about other things. The veteran who painted the warning on our wall, Gorith Vass, gone from this posting 11 rotations before I arrived, wrote his account in the supplemental log that every incoming keeper is required to read. He had served on a station 3 sectors rimward, in the years before the Veth Hollow prohibition was extended to cover the full corridor. He watched 4 separate incursions. He came back. He always came back, because he was always the one who stayed at the board and watched the others go in. He was not a coward. He simply understood, he wrote, that the prohibition existed not because the humans would chase you. It existed because they would not stop chasing you. That was the distinction the younger scouts could never hold in their heads. They thought the corridor was a line the humans defended. It was not. It was a line beyond which the humans considered the conversation finished, and finishing a conversation, for them, was apparently a project they pursued with a patience and completeness that nothing in the charted galaxy had been able to outlast. Gorith Vass wrote one other thing, near the end of his account. He wrote, the most dangerous moment is not when a scout decides to cross. It is the moment after, when the scout's paired unit sees the feed go quiet and makes a choice. I did not understand that line fully until Ortha's close proximity pass took him 700 meters past the formal boundary, and the monitoring board registered the discrepancy, and I opened the calm channel to call him back. The channel was open. He did not answer. He was not in distress. His biosigns were steady. His vessel's drive was functioning. He simply did not answer, the way you do not answer a question you have already decided not to engage with. His feed showed the object, closer now, still inert, still drifting, but with a surface detail that had not resolved at distance, something carved or structured in a way that his instruments were logging with what I can only describe as methodical hunger. He was a scout. He had found something. He was going to look at it. I logged the boundary violation at the standard timestamp and opened the channel again. Sen Ark's feed moved. Not fast. Not the spike of a panic response. A smooth, deliberate adjustment, the way you correct a heading when you have somewhere specific to be. Sen's vessel turned toward the corridor on a line that would take her to Ortha's last logged position, and when I opened her comm channel and said her name, she said one thing. She said, "He's still in there." I said, "The standing order requires you to hold position." She said, "I know the standing order." She crossed the line at standard approach speed. She did not go fast. She went after him the way you go after someone you have been paired with for 11 years, not in panic, not in calculation, but in the simple reflex of a bond that does not consult the orders before it moves. She went after him because he was in there and she was the other half of a unit that had never filed a conflicting report. I logged the second boundary violation. I kept the monitoring board active for both feeds for the next 4 hours. Ortha's biosigns held steady for the first 90 minutes. Then they began to show the kind of gradual modulation that the medical annex categorizes as stress response, not injury, not alarm, but the slow burn signature of sustained high-focus engagement. Whatever he had found, he was studying it. Whatever studying it required, he was doing that. Sen's feed reached his position at the 2-hour mark. Her biosigns, on contact with his signal, settled. That was the word I wrote in the log at the time, settled. As if she had been holding something tense since she crossed and she released it the moment she located him. 2 instruments, the same frequency. Even in there. Even past the line. At the 3-hour and 40-minute mark, both feeds went to static simultaneously. Not sequentially. Together. I have read the technical appendix on simultaneous feed loss. There are 9 catalogued causes. I have eliminated 8 of them. The 9th is listed in the appendix without elaboration, under the heading, Contact with Source of Prohibition. I kept the board active for another 6 hours. Standard protocol. Then I logged both designations as unrecovered. Then I filed the paired unit closure report, which requires a supplemental notation in the standing warning record. I stood at the wall for a long time before I wrote it. The warning Garrison Vass painted there begins with a line that most incoming personnel read as the whole of it: do not enter the Veth Hollow corridor. That is not the whole of it. Below that, in slightly smaller lettering, it continues: they will not come to you. They will wait for you to come to them. Once you have, they are finished only when they say so. Below that, Garrison Vass left a space. The space was not an error. It was a standing invitation, I think, to whoever came after him and had something to add. I added one line. I wrote, do not follow your paired unit across this line. The bond will not protect either of you. It will only ensure that you go in together. I do not know if that is the right lesson. It is the only one I have. Orth went in because he was a scout and he found something and he wanted to look at it. Sen went in because Orth was in there and she was the other half of a unit that did not divide. Neither of them made a reckless choice. Neither of them made the wrong choice, by the logic of who they were. They made exactly the choices that 11 years together had made inevitable. And the corridor took both of them for the same reason it takes everyone, because they were there, and being there was the only condition required. The monitoring board is quiet now. The 2 designations on the paired unit roster have been struck through and marked closed. The next rotation arrives in 30 days. They will read the warning on the wall. They will read Garrison Vass's words and they will read mine. They will nod, the way you nod at something painted on a wall, and they will go about their duties. I do not know what else to do with this except write it down and leave it for whoever comes next. That is what this post is for. That is what we are for, the ones who stay at the board and watch the feeds and write the supplemental notations in the standing record. The corridor is quiet. The object is still out there, or it is not, or the distinction no longer matters. The chart marks nothing in that direction. The chart will continue to mark nothing. That is all the answer anyone will get.